Good evening. I'd like to call the Lincoln Way District 210 Board of Education meeting to order. Please stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can you please call the roll?
Dana Berthold. Catherine Johnson.
Here.
Joseph Kostick.
Here.
Richard Lacine.
Here.
Caitlin Olenek.
Here.
Deidre Stokes. Aaron Janik.
Here. First up on the agenda tonight is the recognition portion, and that's the Read for a Lifetime Student Recognition.
Good evening. Tonight I'm here for our annual presentation on the Read for a Lifetime program. If you recall, Read for a Lifetime is a statewide high school reading program, reading for pleasure, not necessarily for study. What happens is the state puts out a list of books, and if students read at least 25 titles in a year, then we receive a list of 25 titles. If they read at least 4, then they are recognized by the state librarian, Alexi Janulius. The highest recognition is for any student who reads all 25 books in all 4 years of high school. And this is in addition to their studies, just recognition that we have. You can see our district statistics. This year in the Read for a Lifetime program, we had total books read in the district was 2,387. And you can see the numbers for each of our high schools to the right. Total participants was 215. We also have staff members who enjoy reading the books along with the students. We had 22 this year. And out of students and staff, we had 61 people this year read all 25 books. You're going to hear from our librarians from each of our high schools to recognize their students who excelled in this program. First up is Jennifer Broman-Bender is our librarian from Central. Unfortunately, our librarian from Lincoln Way Central couldn't be here tonight, so Ms. Broman-Bender from West is going to do double duty.
All right, for Lincoln Way Central, this year they had 62 total participants with 56 students and 6 staff members completing the requirements, and a total of 645 books were read. There were 15 students and 1 teacher that read all 25, and 7 students participated all 4 years. Those were, and some of these are our staff members' students, Macy Gallagher, Madeline Gorski, William Merzrowski, Maria Rodriguez Castro, Sydney Shilkaitis, Rachel Weiss, and Chelsea Zimmerman. And not only is Rachel a 4-year participant, but she's also Central's only 100 Title Club inductee this school year. And Rachel will be attending Aurora University, majoring in history and minoring in museum studies. But unfortunately, she could not be here tonight. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Seaman. I'm the librarian at Lincoln Way East. And this year we had 600 title students, 5 who are with me tonight. The first who I would like to honor is Griffin Chodacki. If you want to come up, I'll give you your certificate. Yep, you can clap. Griffin is going to go to Bowling Green State University studying forensic drug analysis and chemistry, and his future career goal is to work in a crime lab. So all my favorite shows. Hopefully he'll be on one of them next time. Joseph Gorder. Joseph is going to go. Thank you. Joseph will attend Northern Illinois University studying accounting, and he will be an accountant. Maybe coming for your job. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, thanks, Joe. Natasha Katai. Sorry. She will be attending University of Illinois at Chicago, studying integrated health studies, and she would like to be a physician at a research hospital. Jamie McKernan. Jamie has been a library aide along with Joe for a few years. Jamie's going to go to Washington University in St. Louis studying physics, and she wants to be a physicist. Congratulations. Sabrina Zinski. Sabrina will be attending Illinois State University, majoring in elementary education, and her goal is to be a second grade teacher. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Jennifer Broman-Bender will talk about Lincoln Way West.
Lincoln Way West had 55 students and 7 staff members complete this year's Read for a Lifetime program, reading a total of 642 books. 14 students and 1 teacher read all 25 books, and 11 students participated all 4 years, and 3 seniors read 25 books all 4 years. So some of our students who read for 4 years were Reese Adamczyk, Anahi Alvarado, Sophia Arizzi, Luke Burgeon, Naomi Brendlinger, Tyler Doran, Kara Peterson, and McKenna Woltman. And again, we had 3 students read 100 books total this year. 2 of them could not be with us. Mae Frank is double majoring in English education and theater education at Ball State. And Sophia Fish is majoring in accounting at Northern Illinois University. But today we do have with us Rebecca Stefanelli, and she is majoring in music education at Carthage College.
All right, thank you very much. Oh, Dr. Old, do you have anything? No, you're good? All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Very impressive. I'm not sure I read 100 books in my life. And you guys did it in four years, and also while doing double duty of schoolwork, so very impressive. Good luck in your future endeavors, and go Huskies. That's where I went, so. And you can stick around if you want. You can stick around if you want and listen to some finance talk and things of that nature. All right, we have no members of the public signed up for public comment, and we'll hear an update on the Transportation Department.
Yes, we have our Director, Andy Reeser, with us this evening, so he's going to provide an update on some of the happenings down at Transportation. Go ahead, Andy. As soon as Mike gets it queued up there.
Good evening. So with the end of the year sharply, coming quickly, we want to make sure we got a transportation update out to you guys for what, a question that was asked about fuel by one of the board members. We're also going to discuss the other topics of technology, bus news with the old buses, with the new buses coming. There's some new technology that are in the buses that is fantastic for the drivers and riders. Staffing, and then we'll open up for any questions that you may have. Now, the first slide I'm going to show you is the diesel. I wasn't sure whether to put that at the beginning or the end. I may lose you all after the pricing for the diesel and gas. So a little small, but if you can look at that, what I did was I took an average of every month since we started school this year in August of what the purchase price was. Now, that purchase price includes the Illinois tax, fuel taxes as well, but we had a huge swing from March on. It was pretty steady until March, and then it went up in a rapid increase. So as you can see with the first, which is the gas, with the high that we paid was $4.48 a gallon, and the low that we paid in February was $2.14. So it's quite a swing with 130 buses total that we're putting the gas and diesel into. Diesel, our low was $2.81 in January, which I wish it would have stayed there. That's fantastic. The $6.12 is cringeworthy at best. Good thing is we're getting rid of the diesel buses. More gas are coming in, but we're still going to be at the top end of our budget. I don't believe we'll go over, but we'll be at the top end for the purchase for both. Now, the swing in that, as you can see, is $2.34 and $3.31, which is just the difference between the low and the high. It is absolutely what goes up will go down. We just don't know how long it's going to be before it does. I'm hoping that's a short-term issue. Technology, we launched a parent app for Manhattan New Lenox. We currently have 1,225 users following nearly 1,500 students. So as you can imagine, the most users of the group are of the lower grades and the parents that want to know exactly where their children are. This app works in a way it lets you know when a bus is up to 1,600 meters from your stop or the geofence that you put around your house. So it's GPS driven, which is much, much better than the map, the other apps that use maps. Something that's really exciting is Zonar tablets are coming. Zonar tablets are an 8-inch tablet that'll be mounted in the bus. It's removable, so you can do your pre-trip inspections, your post-trip inspections. It will give you turn-by-turn directions of the route that you sign into through our dispatch system. Pre- and post-trips, which pre-trips are required by federal law. Those will now be done electronically and not on paper, which will save us a lot of headache now and in the future if we are audited by the DOT. Dispatch system bite curve is going to now tie us with the work is going to be tied to the payroll. Paper time sheets will be a thing of the past. We'll be able to better control overages, overtime, and those types of things by using this technology. Bus safety improvements. So some of these, and as I go through these, I'll tell you which ones are on the buses now, the new buses. These are not on the diesel buses, the internationals. They are on the new buses that are coming in July. Crash avoidance, this just like in your car, it will assist you. It will warn you and assist in stopping so we don't have any rear-end collisions or reduce rear-end collisions. Really looking forward to this one. I hate accidents. They do happen, but we want to limit those. Front and rear view cameras. Now, these aren't the cameras in the bus. This is a camera in the back for a backup camera. And in the front, when we deploy the crossing gate for someone to go across the street, a camera comes on from the grill that shows the front of the bus so the driver knows when that danger area is clear. It's a really good safety device for our drivers. Driver's airbag. This was added this year to just the new buses. That is a big thing as well. I like, as much safety as we can get in the buses is better for everybody. The 16-inch steering wheel. Now, I'm not being a wise guy here. This is really why it's in there. They had a lot of complaints that some of the drivers, it was rubbing on their stomachs and they were not able to turn the bus effectively. So they shrunk the steering wheel and put a flat spot on it so drivers will be able to not have any resistance while steering. 3-point seat belts. 3-point seat belts will be mandated in 31. We opted to put seat belts in the first 2 rows of the buses that are coming to see. I really want to see what the reaction is of the children and how we're going to be able to manage this when this comes up in 31. It's a very controversial, challenged thing in Springfield for these seat belts. Staffing, we currently have 95 drivers on staff. We have hired 12 this year. We have 5 in training, so we're poised to be looking good for going into the next year. We have 89 full routes. We're going to add some efficiencies and hopefully reduce that a little bit and better distribute that amount of drivers. Same with the staffing and the shop needs. We have a dispatcher trip coordinator job that's open, a mechanic and a lead mechanic. We've received about 17 applications for over the 3. We are setting up interviews now, and we will be filling those this summer and be ready for the first part of the school year. Questions? Yes,
Any
ma'am.
questions?
How are you with the staffing of the actual bus drivers? Are you still down, or are you
Well,
able to
our
accommodate?
problem has really never been that we don't have enough drivers. We have, attendance issues. We have a lot of call-offs and paid time off that have affected us Mondays and Fridays especially. But I feel we're gonna be looking very good for the first part of the year, for the start of the year.
Anything else? All right, thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you,
Andy.
Thank you. All right, next up is the consent agenda, items E1 through E6. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up is the presentation of invoices for April 17th, 2026 through May 21st, 2026.
Motion to approve invoices in the amount of $5,517,346.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions on the invoices? Just one for me, or actually two, sorry. The Thermo Systems Incorporated Life Safety Renovations, the 1.2, that's the
HVAC equipment. Yep.
That's the equipment, none of the works started on that?
The
or we just-
1.28 million is all the equipment, right, Chuck?
Right,
Yep.
okay.
And that's not the full cost of it, but that's the partial cost for what we've had delivered so far. Yep.
Are we tracking that somehow in a separate, like PDF? that-
Yep, we are. So what we can run are reports for Fund 90 is our life safety fund, and we are recording all of the expenses for services. You'll also see Bear Construction at the top of this for mechanical upgrades in terms of some of their work. And then the equipment is all tagged and run through Lincoln Way Central life safety accounts and Lincoln Way East life safety accounts. So we can pull those reports at any time.
And then the April medical and dental claims, the 1.2.
Yep. Yeah, we're still tracking within budget here. Kelly Lazo and I actually looked at this, and we had a meeting with Alliant last week before, in terms of looking at calendar year 25 and how we're tracking so far in 26. Again, this is combined, right? So we've been tracking at that 1.1, 1.2. This is just a shade higher this past month, but we're also not near the end of a calendar year where we're seeing like stop loss and things like that kicking in. So we're still okay budget-wise, fiscal year over fiscal year. I feel that we've accounted for that, and it's something we can continue to monitor.
Any further questions?
I have a question. I have a quick question. As it relates to I just saw it, gosh, what was it I was looking at? I'm sorry, I was looking and I scrolled and moved something. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I know, the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, the April medical and dental claims, are those consistent with what they've been in the past as well?
Yep, they're just a shade higher. That we've been floating around 1.1 or 1.2 because dental's combined. So it's a shade higher, but we're watching it. We're within budget. We're okay.
And I now recall, with the CDW, are those the new laptops for the coming year, or was those laptop purchases that took place in April, May? I
Their
see this is
purchases, I don't know if I.
Cheryl's not here
Yep,
this evening,
Cheryl's
but
not.
they should be for next year.
for next year, that's what I
Because
thought.
as we approved it in January, am I right?
Yeah, we approved it, the 168,000, I'm just trying to recall the number. I'm assuming it's mostly for next year. It may be also
Right.
some replacements.
Okay.
From devices that are in repair.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Can you please open the vote? Vote is open.
The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up is the treasurer's report for April 2026.
In April, revenues totaled 3.6 million and expenses for the month were 9.5 million. District's total cash balance on April 30 was $48.2 million. Through April 30th of 2026, 57.8% of our budgeted operating revenues have been received and 78.0% of budgeted operational spending has occurred. Through April 30th of last fiscal year, so the same point in time, we were at 57.4% on the revenues and 79.1% on the spending. So both operating revenues and expenses are trending appropriately at this time. For investments in April, our liquid rates held at 3.6%. As you know, in April and May, we're in our cash flow low point. We are working with PMA to kind of queue up some investments as we start to get tax revenue later in May, once those property tax receipts are distributed by the county. Cash flow analysis, a fiscal year, quarter 3 of our fiscal year, the mandated categorical payments were distributed by the comptroller's office. Since those came in April rather than March, we're glad they caught up on Q3, but we're monitoring the predicted timelines for quarter 4. Sometimes there are timing differences where the comptroller will release that and try to get that in before June 30th, sometimes not. And so as we've had discussions, we know that they've been trending late. If we get it in July, that'll affect how we close our books and then how that FY27 budget looks. That's all I have on the treasurer's report tonight.
Any questions? We have about, what, 30 odd or 40 odd days left in the fiscal year?
June 30th, yep.
Anything on those next 40 days that has you concerned?
No, not, so what we're most in control of, obviously, is our expenditures and our spending. We feel pretty good about where we're at there. Non-operational spending, like the life safety or other capital improvements, are going to completely depend timing-wise on when the contractors give us pay-apps, so that they may hit this year, they may hit next year. The same is true for tax revenues. Might get more before June 30th, might get less, and we get more after. So some of the fiscal year swing, as you know, is those are really dependent, but in terms of our operational spending, we're in great shape.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report for April 2026 as presented? We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Votes are open.
Bless you.
The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up is the student activities report for April 2026.
Student activities report is included in your backup material for the month ended April 30th. The activity fund balance was $2,553,000 with revenues of nearly $880,000 and expenditures of $650,000. Had one account in the negative, Music Booster Scholarships East. It'll be positive, just needed to complete a transfer from the Booster Club account to the scholarship account, and that will be taken care of. I would ask you to approve the student activity account as presented.
Can we get a motion to approve the report?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up is the Mokina TIF District Extension.
So included in your backup material is a request from the Village of Mokina to support legislative extension to the Mokina Downtown TIF. TIF was created in 2009. They're looking for an extension through, and I'm looking for the date. Mike, help me out.
2044.
2044. Currently, that TIF is about $17,500 a year, so $17,631. And the purpose of the TIF, that money that we would receive in taxes from that downtown area that's very specific would go into an account. The village then would have to utilize that money, and it would be accounted for development of infrastructure to make it more viable for businesses to move in, with the thought that hopefully businesses would come in, make the property even more valuable. Then at the closing of the TIF, we would get that money back. If the Village of Mokina does not spend that money to develop or enhance those areas, we would then get that money back. It'd be $17,000 a year, $17,000 to $18,000 a year. For comparison's sake, we did a quad plus abatement, but that was a limited tax abatement, something a little different. That would be about $16,700, as Aaron pointed out. That's coming off this year, so that will be coming back to our coffers. This is the only TIF district we have in our district, so we have nothing else anywhere. Mike and I both checked. This is it. Back in 2009, don't know if it was brought to the board or not. I wasn't in this position. None of these board members were here, but was speaking with Board President Janik. We felt it was appropriate that if we were going to support this or extend it, it should come before a discussion of the board. I do know last night Mokina Elementary School District, they did approve it last evening, and now they're here to talk with us. We do have Carl Buck, a representative from the village here this evening that could answer any questions. Mike knows a lot more about this than I do from the mechanic standpoint, but feel free to ask some
I
questions.
just want to make one thing clear. We're not approving the extension.
We are not approving.
That would be
We are
state,
supporting.
yeah, supporting the village's request of state legislature to extend the TIF district.
Correct.
Through 2044. So, we could say, yes, we
To
support
approve the
it.
support, we'll
Yeah.
have to change that motion. It would be if we do something to
Yes.
approve.
Yeah. So we're not, we could say yes all day long, and someone else could say no, and it's out of our hands, so.
Correct.
All right, any questions on this?
So I guess I have a couple questions. Just, the 12 years, so I know we just talked about it, Dr. Dubek and I, because originally it was 23 years, now it's 12 years. Is that, that's, because currently it'll end in 2032, and then now it's because originally it was 23 years, now it's 12. Is that set in stone? I guess, why is it 12 years?
Go ahead, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Can you just press the green button, little guy? Yep,
There we go. All right. Technology. My name's Carl Buck. I'm with the Village of Mokina, and the reason that we're asking for the 12-year extension, so as Superintendent Tingley was mentioning, when you get into a TIF district, what you're trying to do is create an incentive for redevelopment that couldn't otherwise occur. So when the TIF was approved in 2009, we all know we had a recession that was coming on, and so we lost about 8 years of productive life of the TIF because the EAV actually went down. And so there was an analysis done by Will County, and Will County showed us that over the course of the remaining years, the TIF rebounded, and it rebounded in a way that was very productive for the district. So for the TIF district, let me be correct. So if the TIF district hadn't existed, the EAV would have come back to about $43,000 in increased EAV over that time period. Because of the TIF district, it came back about $183,000. So the EAV went up $183,000. So we know that it's working. We had our first project in 2017. We had another project in 2019, and we had another project in 2021. We just, through our minutes, you'll see approved on Tuesday night after the holiday. We had a project come through for mixed use with restaurant on the first floor and apartments on the second floor. What we use the money for are public improvements. So we don't pay for aesthetics, we don't pay for light fixtures, we don't pay for cutlery. We pay for things that are going to improve the property. So over the course of time, one of the buildings, which was a Tribes Brewery building, that was a gas station, had underground storage tanks. And the two parties couldn't come to a deal on that because the party that owned it didn't want to pay for the Phase 1 EPA study and the no further remediation letter that would have been required after they took those tanks out. So the village stepped in. That was about $35,000 it cost. That deal got done and that property got redeveloped. The next project was a smaller project. It was a historic building in Mokina, adaptive reuse. It was called Hatch Hall, and it turned into Zap Taco. And so we used that money for that. That was only about $40,000. The biggest one was the dock. So if you've been in downtown Mokina and you see the redeveloped Old Polly's, if you remember that restaurant, that building was redeveloped, and now it has the dock on the first floor, which is a restaurant, and it has apartments on the second floor. They needed to have an improved water system and line going into that building because they had to have sprinklers because of the apartments on the second floor. So everything that we've done, everything that we've used the money for has been for public infrastructure, and that's what we intend to use it for. Now, when developers come in, to answer your question directly, that's just a little bit of context, they want to have a return on that TIF. Right now, with 6 years, it's very difficult for us to use the TIF because by the time they get their project approved and it goes on the tax rolls, because we're always a year behind, they don't really have enough time to recoup an investment. So the banks look at them and say, yeah, you're in a TIF district, but it's not really going to do you any good. So it's tough for us to negotiate. With the extension in that time period, that 12 years, if a project got approved tomorrow, they'd essentially have the 12 years plus probably 4 usable years, so about 16 years to collect on that TIF. Normally, by statute, they're 23. So we're not asking for that time. We're asking for about half of that time because we don't think it's necessary to go through. The TIF isn't that big. If you looked at we provided some information about the geographic area. It's not a large area. I know your district geographically is much bigger than 159, so your number doesn't necessarily correlate to 159. But it's not a big district, so we don't need that much time. We think we need about 12 years to get it done, and that's what we're asking for.
So are there things in the hopper? I mean, I know that area pretty well. You know, I think you've mentioned 3 things over 16 years. You know, for us to forego some money. I mean, is there something that, I mean, I'm not asking you for specifics, but.
Sure.
I mean.
Yeah, so, you know, the project that I mentioned that came to the board at the last meeting, which was a mixed-use restaurant and apartments, that's on the north side of Front Street.
Well, that's something different than the dock?
Different than the dock,
Oh,
correct.
gotcha.
That's
Okay, I
another
thought you were
one.
mentioning the dock.
No, that's another one that's just been proposed by Brian Vandenberg. And then across the street, the fellow that did the dock is buying a property from John Oliveri, and he's also proposing mixed use with commercial, not restaurant, but commercial on the first floor, and then apartments on the second floor. And then the village did, you know, as a part of a commitment to the TIF, the village did buy, if you know that area, the old Therafin building, which was on the southeast corner. I mean, it was a dump. I think the whole thing was built out of asbestos. But the village didn't use any TIF money for that. They used their own money to buy it, tear it down, abate the asbestos, and put that property back up for sale. So hopefully, you know, we'll get a good developer on that one as well. And that'd really be the signature property because that's almost a 2-acre piece on the south side of the tracks there. So that's our goal.
Gotcha. Any other questions?
Carl, would it be possible if the board were to support this, we get an annual update or semi-annual, just to say, hey, here's where money's kind of been utilized, or here are projects that are up there, just so that they can kind of stay in tune to what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. We file every year pursuant to the TIF Act a report with the Illinois Comptroller that sets out every penny we spend, and it gets audited by the Illinois Comptroller, and then it gets part of our audit that the village has. We have to have that fund audited every year. We do an annual JRB meeting, which is a joint review board meeting, where we invite all the taxing bodies to come to that. But I'm happy to come before the board and give that report as well to let you know what we're doing and let you know how we're trying to make it work.
Last thing, I'm from Okina, Aaron's from Okina, so we love that, you know, it's flourishing, you know. I didn't even know that we had this deal in place, which is both good and it's bad at the same time, because, you know, we're doing great, you know, Lincoln's doing great. We're running at, Dr. Tingley's gonna present out, we're running at the lowest tax operating percentage, 1.5. You can see it in Dr. Dubek's, you know, right up here. But it's also bad too because we don't have a report, right? So I didn't even know we had this going on, you know? So having maybe like every May, we invite, you know, the municipality and Mokina in, and then we do like, hey, this is what's going on, you know, just to kind of update, you know, I think
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
partnership
Happy
has
to do
kind
that.
of maybe been missing slightly, and just to kind of keep that communication going 2 ways, would be, you know, something that I would recommend.
Happy to do it. You bet.
Anything else?
Yeah. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yep.
Oh, I'll shut mine off for you, Rich.
Yeah, I support it. I actually was on the park board in Mokina when we supported the paver bricks and the cleaning up of all of that.
Yep.
I know we have a lot of fresh faces in the politics overflow, you know, in Mokina. I would really like to see this go forward, you know, clean up some of the east end of that. Is there any plans with the police station? Are they going to take it down? Or are they going to, you know?
Right now, no, because we moved, you know, the original Village Hall, which is that 1916 building, had our ESDA building, so our emergency services. They moved into the police station along with our public works department. So, you know, Mokina is frugal at best.
That's an understatement.
Village Hall is in the old school.
Right.
So not for right now.
So, again, going back to, I supported that redoing back in 2002, I think that was, 2001. It just seems like, we got to choose the direction on Front Street, right? It's a little bit of everything that, you know,
Well, you're echoing the sentiment. Right now, we're doing a comprehensive plan, which
Right.
is part of our state requirement. And when we've done 7 public engagements, you can go to Plan Mokina, and there's a map that shows all the public engagement. And everybody, you know, I shouldn't say everybody, but the majority of comments are centered on economic development, proactive, and we want a nice downtown. So.
100%.
Yeah.
We got everything kind of mixed in there, and we got to choose a direction and
Yep.
pluck some people out. I mean, it's just, you got to, if you want it to be a restaurant district of some sort, and the docks thing was great. You know, and that's a step in the right direction, but that's 25 years in the making, that coming there. So I'll support it, but yeah, I mean, I just would like to see it actually get traction.
Understood.
Anything else? No. With that, I'd entertain a motion to support Mokina's TIF district extension letter as presented. We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your support, and whenever you want us to come back and give us a report, we file our report within 180 days after the end of our fiscal year, which we're a June 1 fiscal year end, so we're happy to come in and do that report. We usually file it by the end of the year, so if you want us to come in at the first part of the year in the winter when nothing's going on, happy to do it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, on to the next item, a rental agreement for the use of Lincoln Way North.
So Mike's going to talk about this as he's taking the lead on this. One of the strategic plans when we met, and it's been a couple years now, was just to continue to develop uses for Lincoln Way North. Since that meeting, we've had Lockport High School in there for an extended amount of time. We've got our marching band utilizing it. We are using the auditorium to rent out for shows, and the Frankfurt Square Park District continues to utilize it. We had a call from a gentleman that lives in our community of a film production company that was interested in using it. And I'll let Mike kind of take us through the steps and where we are today. I know the board's apprised. Mr. Janik and Mrs. Johnson walked the facility with the prospective renters. So, Mike, go ahead and kind of give us an overview of where we are at.
Sure. So definitely in the realm of what we typically do in terms of renting, particularly at North after Lockport was there, is that we've kept life in the building. So the rental would be to film a pilot episode for a television show, and then it would include the possibility of extending that rental if it were picked up for additional episodes. As Dr. Tingley mentioned, currently the Frankfurt Square Park District uses one end of the field house and weight room, and then our Lincoln Way staff and students utilize the other end of the building in terms of those auditorium rentals and space for our band. So this rental would be in the middle section of the building. And so the Park District and Lincoln Way groups would remain actively in their areas. So that's treating this as an outside rental of that subset of space. We did work with our bond council to review the mixed use and the appropriateness of the mixed use of North to ensure that we were following all those requirements for the mixture of public and private use. And then we did want to highlight the revenue from this rental would be placed into our non-operating Fund 60, which is our capital projects fund, and that's important for future buildings and grounds-related improvements. So it's revenue generated from facility usage to go back to facility improvements. It would not be used in operating funds. The letter from bond council has been provided in your packet materials, as well as the rental agreement, and ask for board consideration to approve it tonight. Happy to take any further questions you may have or provide more detail if you want.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are they providing us or requiring to provide them with a certificate of insurance to cover everyone?
Yes, we have indemnification clauses, we have insurance requirements, and everything that would be standard in a landlord-tenant agreement. Great question.
And so the initial rental agreement is for how long?
The initial rental agreement for the pilot would be, they're chomping at the bit, so it would be for the end of May through about mid-August, so 3 months. And the revenue there the rate of the $70,000 that you see there per month is to cover the carrying costs of the utilities, et cetera, for the building. And there's some inflationary adjustments to account for if they were to be picked up and come back for seasons. And then there would be a hold period where, while that's being determined, so like maybe mid-August to early November would just be a hold. They would pay us to have storage. They would actually not be in the building. We could resume some use of the building. And then they would just be able to give us 30 days notice to say, hey, this got picked up and we would like to film more episodes, and they would return back to the building.
So, Scott, I know we talked before I left out of town. Did you have a chance to,
Yeah, so our carrying cost, so one of the questions Rich wanted to know, okay, what's our carrying cost? Is this covering us to live there, basically?
right, well, the difference between an empty building as it is right now,
Correct.
we still have to heat it, cool it, clean it, condition it,
Yep.
space.
Yep.
That costs X. This rent is gonna be X, so it's a differential, it's covering all of that.
So Y is, so
Right.
our cost right now, Mike based that upon a combination of the time that Lockport was there, but then also our continued use.
Right.
And that's gonna be right around 60,000 a year. Am I correct, Mike, in that number?
Yep, that's right. So we've been averaging between 60 and 65 plus some maintenance, and that's why it was set
Right.
at 70.
A year.
A month.
A month, I'm sorry.
month.
Yep, a month. I apologize, yep.
Say, that's a really cheap building to run.
That's, now, so some of the conversations is, we, Lincoln Way,
Right.
want to make sure, because it is difficult to predict how that usage will change over time. And so this is set. There are 2 clauses in here that are protective of us in terms of the financials. The first is sort of a renting as is right now, so we don't have nightly custodial staff there. We don't have phones and those sorts of things set up. If and as those requests are made, those costs will be passed through directly to them as renters. And then secondarily, we have added language here in the agreement you see tonight to say, here's the base rent. We actually did this similarly with Lockport. Here's the base rent based on the last 12 months carrying
Right.
cost while it's been empty. But we will review that monthly, and as actuals ebb and flow, if the utilities and carrying cost of the building increases, we will invoice them separately and they will cover the difference.
Okay, so, to my question then, this rent that we're getting, 100% covers, and it puts a few bucks in our pocket. It covers what our current
Yes, sir.
cost is.
Yes, sir.
So they are going to pay any increase in utilities.
Yes, sir.
On top. So then, yeah, it's a 100% win.
Yes, sir.
Because we're going to pay it regardless.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, I think another consideration, obviously, which what you said, is the fact they're gonna be bringing in, I don't want to say hundreds of people, but they're gonna be bringing in film crews to film for
No,
months into the
Oh, an
community.
economic bonus to
It
the
will be
area.
hundreds of people, and they're gonna provide us, they will provide us with a spend out on that in terms of hotel usage, food, gas, everything that comes along. There'll be up to 500 people at different times in that building. And so that will be an economic, it'll help the economic development in that area in the short term. Go ahead, Mike.
They've also asked us for a list, because they're going to need to set up copy machines and printers and buy office supplies, et cetera. And they said, we can ship this in from Chicago, but we would much rather use local vendors in your community and partners that the district has. And so we're providing those companies and that information to them for them to contact and get.
And one thing that I've asked about is, put it out here in the public, is, students in the theater program, that, any opportunities, even if it's just to come to observe for a day, right? And give them some opportunities, or maybe they're an extra, something like that. I'm not saying we put it into a contract, obviously, they're not gonna write that in there. If I was their attorney, I'd say no. But, I mean, Joe, your kids were in the theater, and how great would that be for, a couple of kids to be able to, see what goes into producing a TV show in one of our buildings.
Yep.
And then now we become the, the new Shermer High School and, Breakfast Club,
you
that
go.
type of thing.
There you go.
And do they pay any restoration at the end of the lease? of the building?
Yes, they need to leave the building in the same or better condition, and they will take care of it. Yep.
I have another question too, about the use outside the grounds, because when you bring in that many people, you have, you have changing spaces, you have a lot of, you have a lot of different, the mobile units that they have where they change and those types of things, they don't do that inside. So if we're talking about up to 500 people, we might be looking at a large part of the parking lot being utilized. So have we identified what spaces?
Yes, so we've done some of that, and they're coming on site. They would be coming on site with your approval next week and the week after to refine that in terms of what doors, where parking, things like that. One of the comments that they did make in a recent meeting we had with them was there's so much space in this facility that they will need less of that than typical.
Because it's not a typical studio where they're
Right.
just going in to shoot.
Right.
That's right.
They've already talked about, we're going to use these 8 classrooms
To-
as our wardrobe
That
and
makes
then our
sense.
makeup. And so
That's right.
That makes
because
That's
they
right.
have so much space, they'll
That
be able to
makes
utilize a lot of that inside. But that's a
That's
very
right.
good question.
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
So as it relates to, we've already looked at our budget and projected capital projects over time. So if we have this infusion that we didn't anticipate, how are we projecting, or how can we plan to redirect or reallocate funds that were already in capital projects if we're now getting this unanticipated infusion of money?
Well, what I think I would respond with, and Dr. Tingley, if you want to add anything, please feel free. But as we recently talked through the 5-year financial forecast, this upcoming year in the budget is the tightest it's been in terms of those transfers. And so what this will help is to bolster the projects. We know in our capital improvements plan between Dr. Tingley and Mr. Welke and myself that we have needs at and exceeding what we can afford each year in terms of that. So this will go to supplement our other projects. Yep.
Question, if they do extend, like let's say the pilot goes up and they extend, is it a yearly contract at that point, or how are they gonna determine the length at which, like if they're getting picked up every season, or how would that work?
That is a great question. So there's language, and I had the same question. So there's language in here. You can see the rates over season 1, 2, and 3. Now it doesn't go beyond that, but there are durations for hold periods. And then I said, what is a season? Is that a calendar year? Is it, and they said, well, it depends, because it may be picked up where a season is 11 episodes, or it might be 16 episodes. And so some of that is time dependent. The hold periods are what they're more able to be concrete with because of the breaks in between seasons.
Because they take a whole season in a month. They don't need a whole year to take a whole year season, so a month or two.
There's a longer ramp up in pre-production and then post, but the filming itself, yeah.
So I guess the last comment I'd make, this would not preclude any other long-term plans for that building. I don't see this going more than 2 years, and anything we would be working on for any additional usage or purchase or rentals or anything would be outside that window. We've talked to some other larger entities over the years about potential acquisition of that property. Some of those conversations are ongoing, but none of that would happen within this 2-year window. And that's why we thought this was, a pretty good option to help pay the bill for 2 years while we continue to explore other potential long-term options. We've spoken with different types of special needs schooling. We've talked to an autism academy. There are other conversations that continue to be ongoing for potential long-term uses. But this usage wouldn't preclude any long-term solutions. We felt that because of the time frame, this made sense to look at, yeah.
All right, any further questions? All right. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the rental agreement for the use of Lincoln Way North as presented.
Second.
Oh, yeah. Can you please open a vote? Sorry.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, motion passes.
All right. And unfortunately, I have a face for radio, so you probably won't be seeing me on it. My only claim to fame is being on YouTube streaming these board meetings, so. There you go. All right, next up is the workers' compensation insurance renewal.
This year's renewal is a decrease, and so ask for your consideration for approval of the renewal at $443,056. It's not too often that I can say all that. So this past year, the FY26 premium was $458,455, and so this renewal represents, and this is with increased. We went up 5% on all the payrolls in terms of coverage, but the premium came back very well, decrease of 3.4%. This is actually the second year of a decrease, so we've hit kind of a good period of time here. We receive our workers' comp coverage through the Illinois Counties Risk Management Trust, and we work with representatives from DeGus and Associates to review that program data and get the renewal quotes. Additional materials in your provided in your packet materials. Would ask for your approval tonight.
Not often we see things decreasing these days. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the workers' compensation insurance renewal for fiscal year 2026 as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote is unanimous, motion passes.
All right, under informational items, we have the report of the Lincoln Way Special Education District 843 Governing Board meeting held April 28th, 2026.
Yeah, minutes are in your backup material for your review.
Anything from District 210 Advisory?
No.
We have FOIA requests.
Once again, in your backup material.
Buildings and Ground Report.
Also, in your backup material, thank you to Chuck and his team for keeping that updated monthly.
And we'll get the updates on
Yep,
use of
changes,
North. Yeah,
absolutely. Mhm.
And our quarterly insurance report.
Also in there, I know Mike and Kelly and the team met with our Alliant brokers last week. We're already kind of ramping up for renewal of January 1 and looking for different options. So those discussions are taking place now, and the potential to bring back some discussions in the fall for some maybe different plan development as we move into the following year. We made some adjustments this past year, and they have helped. And little to no impact to the staff, which was excellent. Complaints have been to a minimum, and so a couple good moves there, and we're looking to see if we can make some additional adjustments heading into the new year.
Looks like dental's breaking even so far in this quarter, right? And then, I mean, in
Yep.
terms of other districts, I mean, it seems to be trending pretty much the same in terms of the cost and the increases. I mean, this is what I do now. I watch other board
Watch
meetings
other
now.
board meetings.
So,
Yeah, that's-
and they all, this is what, you know,
Yeah,
is that pretty accurate?
It is. I think we hit our bump there about a year and a half ago. The other thing that we're seeing, and we knew this was going to happen, and I think, Brian, you had the number of pregnancies. It was 26 this year or something. And
So
yeah, and so that trend is cyclical with our hiring, right? So as people are retiring, which we've seen the last 3 years and will the next 3, as we hire young staff, that's going to be the increased cost. For when the bubble of our staff was all in our 40s in decent shape, we were doing okay. And so now we're at both ends, which gets a little more expensive.
All right. First reading for textbook adoption.
For textbook adoptions, we only have one this year, and as those of you who have been on the board for quite some time, we've had the process now. We've got a 3 to 5 year look going, so people know when they're up. And so this is a light year. We have AP Business and Personal Finance. And the teachers have decided this is the best option, so we'll have it on display, follow all the rules, and bring it back for approval at the next meeting. But just one textbook for 26-27.
First reading for policies.
Nothing, I guess, material in any of these changes, primarily footnotes. If you have any questions, I can answer them prior to the next meeting, but primarily, these are just the adjustments from the attorneys.
Legislative report?
We're holding our breath right now. Obviously, they're in Springfield. They're going to be finishing up here shortly. Nothing to negatively impact us yet, but there are a lot of things on the table. Catherine and I have talked quite a bit about the legislation in terms of remediation of teachers and how that may go. So there are some bills down there that could potentially impact us. We're keeping an eye on all of those. We're fortunate here that our representatives are responsive to us, so we'll continue to monitor any developments. There's some other developments that are not directly to school districts, but would be to municipalities. If you've listened to some of our mayors, I think that I shared that we did get a letter from Mayor Matanius at Mokina with some of the homestead legislation that's out there. Something we'll continue to monitor and see if it gains traction down in Springfield.
And superintendent's district report.
When we come back in the fall and we talk about our budget, we'll kind of do a comprehensive look at where we are in expenditure per pupil and our tax rate and all that good stuff. And so I just wanted to share in here today. I asked Mike to put this together because tax bills came out and everybody feels the pinch. We are the lowest high school. We have the lowest tax rate of the high schools here in Will County, obviously, and in our area. We're at $1.58. Hinsdale is lower at $1.46, which is interesting. But we're below Morris, we're below Lockport, Minooka, Bradley, Bourbonnais, you name it. And so I think that's important to note. Our challenge from our tax perspective, and the board knows this, is our bonds. We have 8 years left, right? We have 8 years left at $30 million. Now, the board was able to take a mess and level that out, and we're paying under 2% on that. So cleaned up a bad structure. However, that's our albatross right now. When we're able to get that $30 million off the books in 8 years, right now there's then 2 years at about 14.5, 15 million, and then it goes down to zero. Now, I do anticipate adding in those out years. There's a board policy right now that is 12 years. By the time we come back to the board, it's going to go down to 10, and then to 8, and then to 6, and then you're at a point where your life safety may be $5 million a year as opposed to paying 30 right now on those bonds. So we're in a good place there. In terms of our spending, we're in a really good place. And so I think it's just important that we recognize that. When we come back this fall with the budget, we'll do some more analysis. We're very cognizant of our daily operations and continue to be one of the lowest spending districts in all the Collar counties in terms of expenditure per pupil and in terms of tax rate. Just wanted to share that information. And then also, oh no, this will go correspondence. We can keep going.
Well,
Just keep going.
Other district business, no correspondence?
Correspondence, we did get a petition. I've met with our neighbors to the west of Central. We're putting the auxiliary field, we're adding some parking, we've had some discussions about access points. The township, New Lenox Township, came back, offered us some additional easement. We're looking at other options. We will have an emergency access point to that backfield, which I think is important when we have competitions going on in the stadium. Baseball, softball, potentially flag football, lower level football, whatever it may be on our auxiliary field. We need to have access in and out without driving through the stadium. But Mike, Chuck, and I are looking at some different options there. And so met with the group and listened to their concerns, understandable, as we continue to look at some options.
All right. If there's no other business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees and/or student disciplinary cases. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. We are in closed session with action after. Thank you. All right, we are back in open session. And with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees as presented.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. Vote is unanimous, motion passes.
All right, there's no other business to attend to this evening, so with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Our next meeting is June 18th, 2026, and congrats to all the graduates.